Firstly, our demo today, we're going to start with the dashboard, and then we're going to step into creation of a work order. From then, we're going to go into the scheduler, and last, we're going to touch our mobile application. So within NetSuite, as you know, whether you're a project manager, coordinator, or the schedule team, or any other relevant roles, will be able to have a full-fledged visibility on their field operation through our NetSuite dashboard. Just like any dashboard within NetSuite, it is completely personalizable. So this is just a head start during your implementation, but you can customize it depending on the unique needs that you may have. On the left, you've got a couple of reminders, providing you like a quick snapshot of actions required, from work order pending schedule, to work order being late, to work order that may have any missing resources, to some requests coming from the mobile site saying that there are some potential change orders, scope creep happening, or some potential upsell opportunities with your quote requests, punch items coming in, and so on. And again, just like in NetSuite, this can be further customized so that you can add your very own reminders. On the left in the middle, you've got your KPI scorecard, showing you more of a graphical progress of how things are going when the field operations and the planning are concerned. So whether we're talking about the number of work orders this month to next month, the number of field resources that have been allocated so far, or number of resources still available to be allocated on further and new projects. And on the right, you've got a couple of reports, such as showing you the capacity of your resources versus the work orders you have available. In the middle here, we've got our work order overview, providing us where the project and the schedule team, where they can see the progress of the existing work orders, from as well as the highlights from work orders with punch requests, from work orders with no time that has been tracked, or work orders that have been put on hold. And all that with the filters at the top, allowing you to get the desired results of your work order listing. And below, we've got our work order event, which is purely showing the site activities. The one work order can have many work order events. It's showing you the different site activities from events that have been tentatively scheduled, hard scheduled, or soft scheduled, or work order, which is actually late. And at the bottom, you've got a quick calendar view, providing you the different events happening and categorized based on your liking. The next step, we will jump directly into the creation of a work order from a sales order. And don't hesitate to keep your questions coming, and we'll make sure that these are answered very shortly. Right now, I'm already on a sales order where all the information have already been sifted. So I have all my items on the sales order, and what we want to do is to create a work order from this sales order by simply navigating to the Field Operation tab and click on New Work Order. Notice how major information has already appeared from your sales order number, your project inside, your customer name, and your project name. You can easily just insert a title on your work order, the work that's requested, let's see. Some information will already automatically appear from the created date, for example, which is today's date, the work order start date, the target completion date, depending whether it's a single day or it's a long project. Is it a weekly project? Is it a monthly project? You can actually put the start and end date. You've got your work order type as well, which is completely configurable. You can configure it to your liking, put the results there. And we've got our job site analysis. During the quoting and CRM side of the project, you're able to actually do what we call a job site analysis. Send a survey on site to get the state of how this site is. On the work order, we have the ability to link the job site to the work order so that all the relevant information that was done at the job site stage is actually reflected on the work order. You've got your estimated hours so that later you can actually compare actual versus budget, and your work order instructions, which you want to send to your field team. It's important to note that this is a rich text So which means you can put hyperlinks and information, colors, and highlights information to your field team. Below, you've got your address information. One work order can have more than one address because you may have different floors, you may have different areas. So you can categorize the address accordingly. So here I'm going to select both address. We've got our work order contact information, which actually allows you to choose the internal and external contact relevant for this job. Whether you want to give the field team access to who's the architect, who's the general contractor, or the administrative manager, and the customer details as well. The work order is broken down into various different tabs. The most important one is the material. So what are the items that you want to actually be part of the work order? And depending whether you're doing one work order or a partial quantity of a work order, you're able to go and change the various quantities here. So let's proceed and save this work order. And once this is saving, just a quick note, there's a various items that you can track on your work order, not just your product. You can also track the service that's being done on that work order. You can add information, files, which I'm going to show you shortly. There's a couple of tabs, as you can see here. You've got your material, your work order has been saved. You've got your labor information. Some dealers like to have their services being done on the work order to be added. So you can have those reflected here as well. Then we've got our event. Event, like the name says, is a work order event. Once you've created the work order, you may decide to categorize these work order into various events. It could be because you are assigning it to different group of resources, or because of the way you want to organize your project to be installed. Then you've got your change order request, which we're going to show you the series of these being done through the mobile app and reflected into NetSuite later on. The change order request is simply a request from the field team when they realize that there is a change in scope, or could be there's a wrong material received. They are able to do that. And the quote request is simply very similar to the change order request, but it's simply a request for additional upsell opportunities. Could be additional information from the ID, additional information from the architect, and they realize they want to send the order team or the sales team additional information that may let them to do some upsell. And here we've got our amazing document management integration. We've given the ability to integrate with third-party document management system from SharePoint to G Drive. So which means without you having to consume the storage space of NetSuite or to disrupt the existing document management structure that you have, you can just simply create a folder in your SharePoint, but while you are in NetSuite. So without having to log in SharePoint, create a folder, and play around with different folders, send links out that may be outdated links and outdated version of documents, this integration makes sure that everyone is working on the right version in the right folder. So right now I'm in SharePoint, and I can just simply drag and drop a file, and the file is uploaded. I can view the file, and the most interesting part of this is that this information can be made available in the mobile application as well. We've got our punch. So as punch are being filed on site, you'll be able to see it here. We've got our site and install checklist. As these information are also done and completed on site, you'll be able to track the progress here in NetSuite. And two more things before we step into the creation of the event. We've got our notes, which are notes that the field team can track on site instead of having such information falling through the crack. It could be notes such as additional equipment required on day 2. And last is time entries. Any time tracking being done in the mobile app will be reflected in real time in NetSuite. So let's go proceed and create one event from the work order. It's very important to note that typically there is 2 ways of creating event. You might create an event from a work order because you already have a set of information relevant for the scheduling of the event, or you can use the scheduler to actually create your event. So let's assume we have a set of information at the time that we're creating the work order. So we're going to show you both scenarios. I'm creating a furniture install event. I have my created date that auto appeared. All the information from the work order has been pre-populated on my event. I have my event type that I can choose. All these is completely configurable. I'm going to put furniture. I have my confirmation type that asks me, do I need a confirmation for this job? Do I want the scheduler to confirm, or no confirmation required? Here I've got my direction. In the version 1.6, this will be auto-calculated based on our Google Map integration. And the address, notice how on the work order event, it only allows you to choose one address, because one event is only going to happen at one specific address. And all the contact information that we've pre-selected on the work order earlier has appeared here. So you get to select them if they're relevant for this event. And we have all our scheduling section. So the work order start date, the end date from the previous work order we created, the schedule type. If you have this information again, it's really important that at the time that you're creating the event from a work order, there could be a set of information that you don't yet have. And if you don't have this information, it's completely fine. This means you're going to leave it for the scheduler team to fill these. But if you do have, you can just fill this information with any time. The priority, is it a low priority, high priority, an urgent priority, and the event start date. The event start date has to be within the start date and the end date of the work order. You can have an all-day event. You can have a multi-day event, depending on the case and scenario. And at the bottom, you've got your event requirements. Remember the job site analysis that we filled earlier? So it's automatically linked to that work order event. So if there was a site survey that was done a couple of months ago, you will be able to pull this information so that the work order event created already has the selected set of information. And we get to our interesting part, resource and equipment. So when you're creating an event, at that time that you're creating an event from the work order, you may have a set of information already about who do you want to assign this to, and who do you think is the best candidate to do this job, and even what equipments do you require to get this job done. So if you do have this information at that time, you can fill it. But if you don't, you can always leave it to the schedule team to do it on the scheduler side. So right now, let's assume we know who's the lead installer and we know who our resources will be working on this job. What's important here, you've got 3 categories of resources. Here, we're looking at our internal resources, the resources that you own and that you're paying wages for. And notice what happened when I selected one of the internal resource. It already told me there's a conflicting event, there's another furniture installation on this date. But since it's a tentative event, you can actually take that resource away. And all this is configurable. So you can have it in your set of preferences to decide whether you want to allow to take resources away from a tentative event or not. And you will realize a resource have a start date and end date, but also a start time and end time, which means you can have resources working on multiple events on the same day. Once you've filled your internal resources, we also have the concept of crew enhancement, which means you know the resource, you know their skill set, but you don't necessarily paying them via wages, which means there'll be a PO, there'll be a vendor that these resources are assigned to. So you've got the concept of internal resources, crew enhancement, and last, we've got subcontractors. So this is when you're subcontracting a job completely to a vendor. You don't know the installer name, their skill set, all you know is the number of manpower assigned to this job. And last, our asset and equipment. What are the asset and equipment required to get this job done? So let's say, for example, I choose a hammer. I can put the quantity, and you've got all details of the asset. You realize the moment I select the asset, the site will be displayed. What is it doing in the backend? It's actually sending that asset to that site so that you can find where are the asset on which customer side, which floor, which area it is. And again, same concept, like the resources, you can put a start date, end date, and a start time, end time. And the last portion is the items. Earlier, you created the items allocated to a work order. Now you want to say which items from that work order is allocated to that specific install event. And I click save. Just like the work order event also provides you the ability to have that document management integration with SharePoint. As you can see here, and I can click on create. And notice how it respected the folder tree structure. You've got your customer name, which I don't have access to because I'm on an event. You don't want them to have access to other events that they've not been allocated to. You've got the project, you've got the work order number, then the event and the specific event that we're creating. I can drag and drop a file just like I did earlier. The advantage of the work order event, it's all the information that you want the field team to actually see on site. And it's vice versa with the document management system. Because what happens, it means everything that's happening on site, from progress pictures to completion pictures, it will all appear in real time on the work order event. Now that we've seen the field operation dashboard, the creation of a work order, and the creation of a work order event, let's step into the scheduler to see the different bells and whistles and what the schedule team can actually do. So right now, I'm on my scheduler. And you will notice we were one of the few that have created a scheduler with two views. You've got your Kanban view, but you also got a calendar view. So on the Kanban view, the scheduler is broken down into three components. Firstly, on the left, you've got your resources and equipment, which I can actually search. I want to search for Abikwan. I want to search for a specific asset. I can search that. In the middle, I've got my available jobs, which is my work order. And on the right, I've got my events, which is my work order events that have been scheduled tentatively or confirmed. Couple of things that you can do. When you go on a resource and you click on them, it filters the event to the one assigned to this resource. What you can also do, you can simply, when you hover on a resource, it gives you the details of this resource. You can also drag and drop a resource to a job. And when you do that, it automatically gray out the job that they cannot be assigned to because either this resource is not available or either they don't have the skill set to do that job. And you can add a resource. So it's as easy as that to add a resource to a job or add an equipment to a job. When you add an equipment, it will ask you the quantity of the equipment. You can just click yes, and you can add it. A couple of other things that you can do. On the work order, if you want to schedule a work order that has not yet been scheduled, all you need to do is take the work order and drop it in the event section. And when I do that, it provides me the same functionality that we've seen earlier, which is creating a work order event. And if I put the start date and the end date, look what happened to the resources. It automatically gray out the resources that are not available during that period. And it has the same set of features from the resources to the vendor subcontractor to the assets that you want to assign on this work order event and the work order items that you need to assign for this event to be done, contacts information and addresses. Exactly the same features that we saw earlier when we were creating an event from a work order. The only difference is that this time You're creating a work order event from the scheduler. Couple of things you can do. Put a work order on hold, print the maintenance work order sheet, cancel a work order, print the pick list. And on the event side, you may have created an event earlier from your work order, and you may want to simply update the work order event. So you can use your scheduler to simply update, like moving something from tentative to confirmed. Or you can also complete the event. Sometimes there may be a situation when you're not going to give a full license to your install team. Could be because it's a subcontractor that you don't work often with, and you did not give them a mobile license. So which means you're going to complete the event manually. Completing an event means putting the time, the start time, end time, await time, standard time, overtime, the work order items. And if there is no punch, then you'll be able to complete the event, which will execute an item fulfillment. You also have the ability to do a general event. A general event means an event that is not necessarily assigned to any work order. Could be sending a designer on site, a job site analysis, or an asset maintenance event, which will grade out the resources, and you will have only the asset that you'll be able to assign. At the bottom, we've got our amazing schedule with AI, which is not yet available. It will be available in version 1.6. And this is simply providing you a scenario-based analysis for your scheduling. And the AI will learn how you schedule, and then it will be able to help you to get that job done in a more optimal manner. The next view that we have is what we call our calendar view. Our calendar view provides you the same set of features as the Kanban view, is just in a different format, in a calendar format. So it provides you the ability to do a couple of things, mainly move events around. So if you don't want this event to be to ABIC1, you can move it to Dean, for example. And if that resource is available during that period, it will allow you to reassign it. You can also take a job that is not yet scheduled and drop it on the screen. And it will allow you to create a work order event, just like earlier. You can also make an event shorter or longer. And exactly how you've seen the previous Kanban view, you will be able to collapse, expand, search for your resources and your equipment. All that has covered today the scheduler portion. And the next step of what we want to actually see is how does all this appear on the mobile application? So from the work order 68, and the event 630. So let's step directly into the field. So you should actually see my mobile application. So right now, I've installed my iPad on my laptop. So of course, you want to use the native one. The application is already available in the App Store. So if you go to the App Store, you'll be able to see Field Operations Pro. A couple of things that you can see. I have 3 dashboards, mainly a general dashboard, which provides me the KPI that I need for a field team to manage the mobile application. And I have by work order or by project. For today, we're going to see by project. When I click on by project, I'm able to see what's happening inside a project. Firstly, I see my project plan. So what are the tasks that's been done? When are they starting? The hierarchy of those tasks. Are they not started, in progress, or completed? A complete Gantt chart showing me where we're at on a specific project. And then we've got our work order events, showing me the series of events that has been created for this job. Here I get a summary. I can scroll, see the summary of these details, what is happening to this particular project. I can also pin 1 or 2 columns so that when I scroll to the left, I don't lose the information such as the sales order. Let's search for our particular event, which was 6:30. And let's view that event. So you realize there's a couple of things you can do when you're on an event. Firstly, you've got the event details. So instead of having to do the traditional way of printing a maintenance work order sheet, providing it to your field team, they can simply use the mobile app and get the details of the event in real time. The event details, the address information, the contact information, the resources in their team assigned to this job, time entries, there's no time yet, and the work order lines. So normally, to be able to track time, the resource needs to be assigned, firstly, to this event, and they can simply just click on clock in. And the moment you click clock in, notice how the time will start ticking on the right. And you've got two categories of time, en route or on site. So depending on the type of contract you've got with your subcontractors, some might suggest that en route needs to be billed. Others might say only on site. You have the ability to categorize those time tracking. So I've tracked time for en route. Let me do the same for on site. And when I clock out and when I go to my time entries, I'm able to see time for both en route and on site. But the advantage here is that these time entries and the information you see are flowing out to NetSuite as well in real time. So our work order event, a couple of things that we can do. So now let's see, we have timesheet. The timesheet, let me just verify what work order number we were, 68. So the timesheet provides you a quick summary of the time that has been tracked on this particular work order. Because sometimes you may be tracking time end of day. You may have several people having access to track time. So you may want to see the progress of what time has been tracked and what time has not been tracked. You also have the ability to allow the lead installer to track time on behalf of other members of the team. Because not everyone may have a tablet, not everyone may have access to track time during that period. So the lead installer can decide to actually track time for the other members of his team. Another feature that we've released is the ability called create change order requests. There could be sometimes items that have been received on site, and there are missing items. Let's say for a wall job, there could be an additional frame required, right? And that additional frame may be needed to be able to complete a specific job. You can assign it to a work order. All these are sourcing real-time information from NetSuite so that the person filing for this request can make sure that this request goes to the right order team or project team. You can source the item from the work order right there in real time in NetSuite so that it appears at the right line within NetSuite. You can add additional items if you want. And if there's a customer representative on site, they can actually sign off on this change order. And what's important here, this is simply a request for a change order. You're not forcing a change order to be created. The field team might not have the authority to do that, nor the knowledge to what is technically part of the contract. So they will simply send a request to the order team, and it's the order team in NetSuite that will decide what are they going to actually do with that change order. And here they've got a change order request log where they can see some of the progress of the change order request that they've filed. You also have a concept of project task. So it's not just about events that's being assigned. You can assign generic tasks to you and your team and have those tracked on the mobile app. More of an on-site project management tool. You can see your tasks assigned to you and your team. You've got the project folder. Just like earlier, we've shown the document management system is integrated with the work order in NetSuite, with the project in NetSuite, with the work order event in NetSuite. You also have the same integration on the mobile application, which means on the mobile app, if we go to the information that we uploaded earlier on the work order and on the work order event, you can see it appears here on the mobile app, and it's vice versa. So if I'm uploading any information on site, the team in NetSuite will be able to see it in real time. We've got our checklist, our site and install checklist. So whether you're doing a pre-install survey, you can go and fill the site information and take a picture for each item. And as the team is filling this, whether it's the site or the install, the information will flow in NetSuite in real time. And if there's a missing section, we can just click create new question, and this will flow into NetSuite. Just like the site checklist, the install checklist provide the same functionality. You can assign it to a work order. The team doing the install can check and provide the progress of how the installation is going, including install pictures for each section. And even if there's a section missing, they can create a new question in real time and send that to NetSuite. And one really interesting feature is our punch list, floor plan tag, which many dealers I know may be leveraging a lot of different application, plan grid, Procore to be able to get that done. We've incorporated that directly into our application. With the punch list, you can have access to different floor plan. And from the different floor plan, you can simply put a floor plan tag. And you can put a name, let's say, damage tabletop 1. This is, the area, the product, the issue. You can source the punch category right there from NetSuite. You can say damage item. You can source even the work order. If you have this information, source even the item from that work order and save it. And you can have multiple floor plan tagging for your punch. The advantage here, which I'm going to show shortly, is that not only are these information being tracked on the app, it's flowing into NetSuite, flowing on the work order, on the right line of the sales order to prevent any bad experience with the customer, such as having the AR team invoicing them for something that they were not supposed to. So that punch will go on that line to alert the team who's trying to invoice that order. You also got the concept of create new notes. So where the field team can add notes, send it to the work order team, to the project team, to the event team. This could be any different notes. For example, additional equipment required on day 2. And this information allows them to tag it to the right work order, and they can be notified of these in NetSuite. The advantage is to prevent miscommunication or communication falling through the crack by making it go out of the ERP. Since you've got to create new notes, you've got your notes log. All the notes have you filed in case you want to edit them or check the progress on them. Earlier, we've shown the change order requests. Just like the change order requests, you've got a concept called quote requests. The only difference is it goes to different set of teams. Your quote request is going to your sales team. That could be the interior designer came in and say, I want to see a specific, let's say, flower pot, for example, that they want to see. So they can have this information tracked, just like the change order request, same concept. And the last portion, we have the ability to take pictures. Because I'm using my laptop, my iPad is installed on my laptop, so any picture, it will show my webcam. But what I do have, I have a picture. So I'll take a picture of a picture. So if I go on the picture here, I'm just going to take this picture. So I've got a picture of a chair. And if I do choose, you realize I can annotate the pictures on the app. So I can annotate the picture. I can put a text and say damage come fabric, for example. I can press done. And if I press OK, done, it will actually save the picture to NetSuite. I can press OK and cancel. And last, we've got our contact information. So all the contact information that we pre-selected earlier and the work order and the work order event has appeared here so that the field team knows who to reach out in case of there's a problem with drawing, they want to reach out to the general contractor or any of the members that you wanted to give access. Now that we've seen this, let's just simply go back to the work order and NetSuite and see what happened after we've created all these items on the mobile application. If you remember, we created an event earlier. We also filed for a change order request on site, the additional frame that appeared here. A quote request, we didn't do a quote request on site. We had a punch, a damage tabletop that we filed, appeared in NetSuite. All our site and install checklists that we actually filled on the mobile app is shown into NetSuite. We had our notes that we said additional equipment required on day 2, and we had our time entries. So all this information flew in from the mobile app into NetSuite. But we also had a punch on the line level of the sales order to prevent the invoice team of invoicing that line. So you got a banner that tells you there is a punch. And if you go to the line item, you will see a little warning sign telling you there's been a punch on this line. And if you remember, last, before we stepped into Q&A, we took a picture, a progress picture, and within NetSuite, when I go to the project, to the folder management, I have access to all the work orders, all the work order event through my Microsoft SharePoint. And if I go to image, I'll be able to see the image that we took from the mobile app. And if we give it a couple of seconds, it's going to upload and provide the highest resolution. Here it is, damage com fabric.